Okay, first of all, why poetry?
Poetry is the best way to tell stories the loudest.
And why not anything else?
There's something that happens when you describe to someone pomegranates and the taste of lemon from another country. They can see it, they can smell it, they can hear what you tell them when you use poetry. So I feel like the spoken word, the poetry that I use, it's not for me. It's to tell the stories that I learned and pass them on with the visuals, and the mind and the heart that people will be able to listen to. Nothing else works. People don't read, they listen. They're better at listening, especially in America.
Every word from you is poetry.
I guess it happens when you do it so much.
To whom are directed your poems?
It depends. It depends on the poem, because some poems are just for my grandmother in Syria. Some poems are just for the Syrian people. Some poems are for the dictators. Some poems are for the people who don't know. Some poems are for the people who do know. It just depends on how it's going to make you feel and how you're going to get fired up and respond.
So all these people is your inspirations? No.
The Syrians, of course. The
Syrians.
Fighters, the young people, the students who think. They're my inspiration.
Like you?
Well, I'm just practicing what they taught me.
You have lived in Syria, right?
3 years when I was 7, yes.
When you are 7, okay. And how was experience?
It was amazing. It was the most beautiful country that we'd ever seen.
Really?
And here's the thing about it. It was beautiful. We had 60-something cousins. We had a big family and a beautiful farm and everything. But no matter how beautiful it was, even a young 7-year-old girl like me, I knew that there was something wrong. I knew pictures of the president every single wall, every school, every taxi, every church, every mosque. And in America, it's not like that necessarily. So we noticed these things, and we learned that there are things you can't say, and we learned there's things you can't think. And so we had to be quiet, and so we went back to America. And so there was a fear that you had to live in if you were in the country, but you'd forget about the fear if you were eating dinner with them.
And what are the things that you can see, you can tell, you can...
Well, there was a situation actually where my brother had drawn a funny picture of the president. It was funny, right? In America, we do it all the time. Political cartoons, he wasn't wearing a shirt, the president, and it was funny. My uncle walks in, sees the picture and grabs my brother and says, "Are you trying to get this family killed?"
Really?
And we're just like, it's just a drawing, you know what I mean? But it wasn't just a drawing, not over there. Over there, it's if you speak out, if you think out against the president, that's it. They will eliminate you. They will take you to a place where we won't know where you are. And so we had to learn that very quick at 7 years old. He was, this guy was 13 years old. My little brother, we were so young, but we knew we were not in America. We knew we were living under a dictatorship.
So Syria that you have seen then, I think, when you lived there for 3 years, was so different than Syria nowadays. Which is the main difference between
the Syria that I saw before isn't anymore. Syria that was before is decimated. It's to the ground. It's rocks and rubble. There are some places, my grandmother's home in Damascus, it's still standing, but it doesn't have the life that it used to. The thing about Syria, I swear, you would walk down the street and a homeless man will invite you for tea. You walk down the street, neighbors and Christian and Muslim and Ismaili and Alawi, and they'd all walk together, and there were never problems. But now everyone is afraid to come out of their home, no matter what religion, because they're afraid of everyone. There's guns and there's bombs dropping in front of people's eyes. My cousins in Damascus can see the bombs come to Setba, where my aunts are. They can watch the bombs that will kill the family. And so the difference is, now Syria has been shattered, it's been broken, the people don't even have like that togetherness because they're not allowed to go outside. There's no safety, there's no security. And no one wants to leave. People don't want to leave their home. No one here wants to leave their country. And so people used to love it. And you can't love a war zone because it's not Syria. Syria, she's taken hostage right now and they're waiting for her to come back.
Your youth and strength don't leave anyone indifferent.
Gotta be
And
loud.
with your words, you are contributing to improve the situation in Syria and the United States also. For example, during your visit to the refugee camps, I think this year,
about a month, 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your first impression when you arrived there after all these years?
It was unreal. I could not believe it until after I left. But you walk in there and all of the little boys and little girls, it's like you know them. It's like they're your family members or something. And so when I walked in, first thing of course, we went into the minister's office. Minister, very rich man, nice watch, nice couches, everything looked good. He didn't look at me once, he didn't talk to me once, he didn't care that we were there. He just wanted to answer diplomatically to every question we had. So of course I was like, what is this? Who's this authority? Who are these guys taking care of these Syrians? Then you walk outside, the little minister's house has big fences around it so that the Syrian refugees don't bother. You know, and so I walked there and there was barbed wire fence and I held candy out to little boys and little girls, cute little kids, you know, and they took the candy and ran, and a woman came up to me and she told me about how they would not let her see her son. And then another man told me how they will not let him work. And then another, woman told me that they don't have clothes. And even though the kids were smiling when I gave them the candy, it was the adults who reminded us that no, we're still struggling and we're still having a hard time. And so I came from America, America, you don't need anything. In America, you got your refrigerator, you've got your television, you've got your warm, you've got your cold, you got everything. And so to see little kids without shoes on, taking candy and smiling and being gracious, it reminded me how kind the people can be, because they were not complaining. When I would ask them, what do you need? What do you need? They say salamatik, which means your peace. That's it. That's all we need.
Why Syrian people don't fall?
Why don't they fall?
Yeah.
Because it lives in their heart. As long as their heart keeps beating, the dirt of that country lives inside of them. They know the fruit. They know where to get the best tomatoes. They know where to eat the best rice, the best hummus. They know. And the bombs is not going to stop that. They're 100% aware that what's happening to Syria is not permanent. They know that right now it's like when you burn something to purify it. They know that right now, like he said, he will set the country on fire and they will rebuild it through the ash.
What are you doing there in Syria?
What am I doing there?
Yeah, this month there.
I mean, like as far as what my family is doing over there, it's my father. Let me tell you about my father. He's in America right now. He went to America 30 years ago. He's a big, strong guy. He can be scary sometimes, you know what I mean? He's got the beard and all of that. And he's not a man who shows, softness necessarily. But this war, I saw my dad cry. I saw him cry over and over and over again. I saw grown men weeping like women, you know what I mean? And this war has dismembered the family. We have family in Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, we have them in Dubai, we have them in Norway, all over the world. Before, the family used to be one unit. Every weekend they would all be together on the farm, they would all be at grandma's house, so now they're all over the place. Now we have 23 members of our family who have been killed. 23 members. My grandma is crying a whole different way than my father. What's happening in Syria? My family, when they are able to eat for one day, they are grateful. If they get to get water, they are lucky. If they can walk outside of their house, they are lucky. And so they'll say thank you. And they have Skype, but not food always, you know. So we hear their stories, and we see them starving, and we see them in danger. And the thing is, if we go to Syria, if my dad goes to Syria, we will be killed immediately by the regime, because we've done a lot of work for this revolution.
For us, Syria is so far, but at the same time, it's so close. For the treason activists like you, in this case, are very important. And well, the question is, do you think your poetry has an important educational factor?
100%, 100%. In fact, I mean, I've performed in schools all over the United States. I've performed in universities. I've performed for PhD students. And the thing is, as soon as you educate someone on something, they cannot be uneducated about it. As soon as they know, they don't not know anymore. That's it. That is it. And so when people after poetry shows have come up to me and be like, "You've changed my life. I cannot go to sleep anymore knowing this. I cannot." And so the point of the poetry originally was speak the word, educate the people, take their money and give it to the students back in the refugee camps so that the education system can be built. Because if the students don't get educated, these kids have no future. 100%. Unless they get school, these kids will not become anything. So,
and finally, which you think is the solution of this conflict that is shaking whole Middle East?
the solution is when the government started shooting at peaceful protesters, you should have stopped the dictator. The solution was 4 years ago. Now you ask a Syrian now, one, eliminate the dictator. Get rid of Assad. No matter what, his ass has to go. Assad needs to be gone. I don't care about ISIS until Assad is gone. Then we'll deal with those terrorists, and then we'll deal with whoever else. The number one thing we need to do as an international community, put a no-fly zone over Syria, so that when Assad does drop bombs, he will be a criminal by the international court. And two, call him a war criminal. He's not even considered a war criminal. He's considered a president. And so as soon as the international community can take that stance and not just intervene on ISIS, but intervene on the dictator who started this terrorist regime, until this happens, then there is no solution in order. There's just going to be some fun CNN, BBC, whatever, picture of Arab people and Muslim people yelling crazy things, and that's what people are going to think about Syria. And they're going to forget about the trees, and they're going to forget about the children and the women and the people and the smiles and everything. And that's not something we can forget about. So, no-fly zone, get rid of the dictator. Yeah. So, pretty simple. Inshallah. So.
Perfect.